Michael Reimer came out to me and he said, you know, how do you feel if Hilo dies? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I think that's kind of predictable. I think a lot of people are expecting that. Or if Hilo and Sharon die, one of us, you know what I mean? Athena died. To me, that seemed like we were kind of always building up to that. I know that a lot of fans expected that. And Battlestar, we dragged you through the mud. I think it was a good conclusion to our storyline. I think people were pretty happy with it. And
right.
Did you actually think that? Because I know that most people watch it. It's like when you see me bleeding out on the floor, you think I'm done. Yeah, I think they did a really good job at that. My buddy Mike Doherty, who's a really good screenwriter and director. He did Superman Returns and X-Men 2. It totally had him too. He's a major geek. He loves this show. He just couldn't believe it. He's like, man, I thought you were dead. Sure you were dead. Sure you were dead.
I think it's the best ending to a television program in history. It's Ron Moore's opus. I think it's absolutely perfect. And I've been saying it for a long time. The last time you see these characters is the last time you want to see these characters. I think I would not come back and do more Chief. He's I love the fact that he just wandered off and became the King of Scots.
I mean, it couldn't be more perfect. You know, it's like a good book. I love reading, and you know, there was a lot of conclusions, but there was a lot of questions. You know, it's up to interpretation, really, and that was the beauty in it. We all read it and agreed right away. It was like, it was one of the few times on set where people didn't disagree, because I can tell you in the 5 years of the show, everyone had an opinion. Especially Jamie Bamber. Jamie always had something to say. But Jamie's an incredibly bright guy, and you know, half the time he had some good points. Everyone just believed in, the point is, everyone just believed in the integrity of the show. So it was an incredible ending. I agree.
Agreed.
Agreed. So say we all.
Of course they turned it on. Turn it on, it's right there. My name is Alex. I go to school to eat my lunch. Get away from me!
So that scene in the finale where Galen starts choking Tori, I felt so that 5 or 10 seconds after that, I felt like sort of obliterated the entire plot of season 4 in like in a matter of like 5 or 10 seconds. And I'm wondering if that was like a creative decision to just get rid of that whole plot line, basically.
What plot line?
The one with Cavill and like Cavill chasing them down and the whole, you know, them going to find them.
It's the end of the show.
But I just thought that the 5 seconds it didn't do it justice. I thought that it could have.
You wanted me to strangle her longer? Okay, how many people would prefer a 5th season?
It took you by surprise, though, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It did, yeah. Because it was like 5 or 6 seconds, and the whole thing was like over.
Yeah, it's a heavy scene. I remember reading it and going, "What? Did he just actually kill her? Wow."
You're goddamn right I did. And he said that like he says that everywhere he goes.
Yeah, but he's talking about the very first time.
Don't watch this show. Yeah. It's dark, it's unwatchable, it's terrible. It's a terrible show. You're going to be disappointed.
I think all the execs broke into a cold sweat when that happened. They started to realize, oh shit, this is who we have to deal with. Edward James Olmos. This is how he's selling our show right off the top. Oh god. You should see this guy walking around set. I'm going to do an Aaron Douglas on set right now.
You know what? I'm still pissed off that he didn't put the virus in and wipe out all the Cylons.
Everyone's still mad about it, man. I get it all the time. I've had people approach me, and they're literally pissed at me. They're mad at me. I'm like, you realize that would have been the end of the series, right? I mean, if we kill off the silence, what are we going to do now? Everyone's happy about it. It's lost. Yeah, it's lost. It better get it's Dallas. Douglas wakes up from a bad dream. It's all been a dream.
Me coming out of the shower.
Bad dream. Very bad dream. I did a scene with Mary McDonald when we were arguing about that. This is what happens when you act with someone great like Mary McDonald. She's one of the leads. She can improvise and add some lines, and she did that. I didn't think that I could play that game too, and started rewriting the scene as we were doing it. I said, they try to live with us on New Caprica. I didn't believe that when I read that line. I'm like, you wouldn't say that. He doesn't think that they tried to live with us on New Caprica, but they insisted on it. We had a new director, British director. I never saw him again after that episode.
There was a few directors that you chased away, wasn't there?
I wish I could take responsibility for that. I think Douglas scared the shit out of a couple of them. But yeah, I wanted to change that line, and he just didn't want to change it. I'm like, could you call? Because I wouldn't say this. This isn't. You wouldn't say this. And they're like, we have to keep this. We're going to shoot. We have to do this. So Mary loved it because it set up her whole thing, and she's like, she just kept on repeating it. She's like, come again, Captain? They tried to live with us on New Caprica, and I'm like, yes. I didn't want to say it. I hated saying it. It was more like, yes. And then what does she do? She repeats it. What was that, Captain? I didn't hear that. Yes? Did you say yes? And it was hell. I hated that scene.
I love Mary McDonnell. I love Eddie. It's an amazing cast. It's tremendous actors. But in my opinion, the best actor on Battlestar Galactica is Michael Hogan. The man is unbelievable. And he is the most unlike his character. Mike Hogan and Colonel Ty are antithetical to each other. Whereas I'm sort of a grump and I walk around pissed off all the time. That's the chief. And Hilo is very, I mean, Tom Pennicott is the most stand-up, he's taught me to be a better friend over the last 5 years to my friends. I mean, there is nobody that's more stand-up. Great guy.
Still need a lot of work.
I'm talking about you, jackass. So he's very much like the healer. He's very nurturing. He's very caring. He's just a tremendous person. And everybody sort of has real pieces of who they are in their characters. But Mike Hogan, it's in between takes. It's this light banter, the silliness, and then Colonel Ty comes on like a dark cloud coming over the horizon, and it's amazing to watch the transformation of him being just Mike and then becoming Saul Ty. It's a completely different thing.
You watch actors when they get to the point when they've been doing it a long time. Obviously, only certain actors can do it. They have the talent for it or the experience, but they hit the character at all levels, and the physicality of it. Like Michael even changes his stance, the way he walks, his voice, his laugh. Everything. It's amazing, right? But you got to understand, as young actors, being on a show with people of that talent, that's a huge crash course. Like, I learned so much from these guys watching them over the years. And anytime he had a scene with anybody, always one of my favorites. The scene with one of the most beautiful, touching scenes I've ever seen. Also, was him and Eddie in the courtroom.
Yeah.
When he looks at him at the one point with the vulnerable eyes, and he looks at Eddie, basically says, "I was doing this for you." I was weeping when I saw that. I was a pathetic, bubbling mess. The physicality too. Like, after you had to kill Ellen, and I remember being in the hangar deck. We're doing the scene afterwards where he gets off the Raptor, and they finally come back to Battlestar.
Oh my God!
And
you brought him back.
And Adama says,
"Not all of them."
Well, not all of them, or whatever. I was standing meters away. I couldn't even see Michael's eyes, but just him stepping out of the Raptor, I could tell he was carrying the weight of what he had just done. I was crying.
Yeah,
Grace and I were outside.
Absolutely.
We weren't in the shot, and we're actually crying, watching it happen.
Yeah.
I'm getting all choked up even talking about it. That's some of the experiences we've had in this show. I can't even tell you, some of the most moving, beautiful work I've ever seen. So inspiring.
Mike Hogan, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Hogan.